This is our league, and this is your league. From the 55-yard line on CFL America Radio and the Sports History Network.
Ever since he was a scrawny 12-year-old on the Monongahela, Pennsylvania Wildcats, Joe Montana dreamed of playing in the National Football League. This year, that dream exploded into a fairy tale come true.
Caught by Clark. Clark got a touchdown. Dwight Clark has a touchdown for the 49ers.
I mean, as big of a quote-unquote star as he was at Notre Dame, his life after that Dallas game, normal just did not exist. It seemed like every entity in the world wanted to get a piece of him.
Joe, are you surprised to find yourself the glamour boy of Super Bowl 16?
Definitely. I was surprised to see my face all over the place, and I'm honored.
It's hard because it takes a little of your focus away, and the one person who never let you forget that was Bill.
As soon as we finish the Super Bowl, I'll be able to reflect on everything that's happened. But in the meantime, we have 2 weeks to prepare for the World Championship, and we're going to make an assault on it that you won't believe.
It was the Super Bowl. We couldn't wait, especially when you get into this Super Bowl city. Yeah, the lights were on then for sure.
Joe Montana is quarterbacking now. Magic that Montana must have. Where were they hiding the secret weapon, Joe Montana? Throwing in the end zone. Back to throw Montana. Touchdown 49ers!
Joe Montana has been voted most valuable player.
And for all those who have been stricken with a case of 49er fever, we add this prayer.
The 49ers, your team is number one. We cheer for Joe Montana and Freddie Solomon. And while the team is playing and lights are all aglow, this life for Di Bartolo and Jungle Golden Joe.
In the 70s, San Francisco had gone broke, seen its mayor assassinated, and continued the slump of having never won a pro title of any kind. Now, they were one win away from being champions of the world. But to get there, their 49ers would have to leave sunny California.
We played in Detroit. It's not Miami or not New Orleans, but it was the Super Bowl.
If there was any pre-game tension or players getting cold feet, an unexpected figure worked to thaw them out.
I got off the bus. The porter's trying to grab my bag. And I go, no, I got it. And he said, no, I got it. And he's yanking on it. And turn around, and it's Bill Walsh, dressed as the bellman. He always had a way of calming the atmosphere a little bit.
You are looking live at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, where the San Francisco 49ers and Cincinnati Bengals are getting ready for Super Bowl 16. This is an event, of course, that has come to the frigid northern climes for the first time ever.
Give me a shot of cold people coming in, please. I want to see cold people.
And how is the weather outside this beautiful arena?
This weather sucks.
Oh, God. Pontiac, Michigan. Okay? It was awful. And it was cold outside.
The wind chill factor is down to a minus 22.
And then, out of the blue, the Vice President of the United States decides to attend the Super Bowl. Shut everything down. The Vice President is coming to the game. And they stop traffic.
You see that monitor? You may have to cover us all day if that traffic jam doesn't loosen up down there.
So I'm on the last bus to the stadium, and our bus is stopped, dead stop. Now, we've been there for 15, 20 minutes. We're all sitting there looking at our watches going, we need to be on the field here pretty soon. And Bill stands up with his typical humor and says, guys, the game's already started. We're ahead 7-0. Chico scored a touchdown for us. And Bronco kicked the extra point. We're up 7-0, so you can relax a little bit.
Are they 5 or 6 miles still, Jeff?
It's going to be a half hour before they get here, though.
This is the last time I ever took a bus to a game.
The odds of the 49ers getting to the game on time were better than the odds experts gave them of winning once they arrived.
There is no question in my mind, Brent.
Cincinnati will win this game.
My head says San Francisco. My heart says it's the Bengals by a touchdown.
Football's newest dynasty is starting today. Go Bengals.
I think it'll be a high-scoring game. You know, neither defense, I don't feel, will stop the other offense. I can see scoring all day.
And the quarterback, number 16, Joe Montana.
When you walked onto the field the first time, it was like the yays and the boos met at the 50-yard line. And, you know, you still get a little chills today thinking about that first feeling when you walked on there.
Bill Walsh's revolutionary West Coast offense, with Joe at the helm, took center stage in front of the largest television audience in Super Bowl history.
Clark has it. First down, San Francisco.
In the first half, the 49ers would unleash a display of passing precision and timing the football world had not yet seen.
Pass caught. Mike Wilson. Diving catch by Dwight Clark.
All right, DC! Way to go, Dwight!
Ninth play of this drive. They don't mind throwing it. Wide open is solid.
Boom, they're going deep, making big plays. This is a football of the 80s.
Okay, quarterback. Make it. I'll just tell Ricky. Huh? I'll just tell Ricky. I'll call 18 Bob and just tell Ricky. That's okay. Okay. Then get him. No, then be real careful with it. Okay.
First and goal at the 1. And it's a touchdown. Montana kept the quarterback snake, and he got in. Here's Montana throwing toward the end zone. Caught in the run by Cooper. He's got it. He's into the end zone. A 49er touchdown.
The 49ers took a 20-0 lead into halftime. But for a city that had never won a pro sports championship, nothing would come easy.
The blitz is on. Browner takes him down. The first sack of the day by the Bengals. They've been a good come-from-behind team all year long.
This Cincinnati Bengal team looks like a different team this second half.
San Francisco has -7 yards so far in this half.
There goes Anderson back to pass. He's being rushed. He comes out of the pocket, headed for the end zone. And Anderson is in for a touchdown for Cincinnati.
Anytime we needed to hit the gas, we could hit the gas. I can remember all the momentum sort of on our side.
Deep for Collinsworth. He's open. Got it. First down, Cincinnati.
What a catch. Going downfield, looking directly back over his head. Whew.
I did catch a long ball that got us down to 3rd and goal on the 1.
Here's Anderson with the ball. He's looking for a pass. Throws it. It's caught by Alexander, but he's hit by Buns at the 1-yard line. He didn't get in.
The real thing that stands out is our defense. It's 4th and 1 on the 1.
We got to go again, and that's what Forrest Gregg has already said. Go for it.
And here are the Bengals now as Ken Anderson is ready. Falling signals on 4th down.
In the third quarter, up 20-7, with Cincinnati threatening to grab momentum, the 49er defense faced 4th and goal.
Has the ball, hands it off. He's met at the goal line. I don't believe he got in. I don't believe he's in there. The 49ers have held. And the Niners, with a great goal line defense, have taken over. They had 4 cracks in from the 3-yard line and could not negotiate those final 3 yards.
I think that was the big pivotal point, obviously, in the game, was that stop.
I love it. 2 minutes. Did it.
And it is all over here at the Silverdome. The 49ers have won it. Bill Walsh and his staff and a team that confounded pro football observers throughout the year.
In his first full season as a starter, Joe had delivered San Francisco their first world championship.
Joe Montana has been voted this game's most valuable player.
You're the world champ. You are. You are. You're the world champ. Woo!
Did you ever doubt it?
No!
Man, it's not only had a great Super Bowl, but he's had a great season.
He got him here.
You might tell Joe Montana and the Millers, I think maybe they really did win one for the Gipper.
Well, I'll tell Joe all about the Gipper. Thank you very, very much.
this.
Post-game, Joe was less than ecstatic before he got a jolt of perspective from the man who had taught him never to be satisfied.
After the Super Bowl, I was in the training room, and my dad walked in, and he said, "How's it going?" I'm going, "Nah, it's going okay. I just felt like I could have played better." He goes, "Would you shut up for a change?" Growing up, it wasn't about what you did well. It was about what you did bad and how you can get better. My dad started teaching me that way, and so winning was expected from you. You were expected to do well. And so when you won, it was no big deal. He goes, "You just won the Super Bowl, and you were the MVP, and you're complaining?" I go, "I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I think I could have played better." That's the way you taught me.
Joe may not have thought what he had accomplished was a big deal, but San Francisco fans, who had never won a major title in any sport, did.
We were on the flight home, and Bill Walsh called me up to his seat, sat down next to him. "What are we going to do about this parade?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "What if nobody shows?" We got on those mobile cable cars. We made the turn onto the main street in San Francisco, and it was just crazy. 20 and 30 people deep, climbing up on stop signs and poles, office windows hanging out of them. I got goosebumps just thinking about that.
Most of the motorcade route was abandoned early on, and crowd control problems persisted throughout.
We looked out, and every street was jammed. Over 1 million people were there.
How long have you been waiting for them to be champions?
1,500 years.
I'd like to thank you all for being so patient for us and taking all the trash that you had to put up with. But you don't have to put up with it anymore.
We have brought to San Francisco the World's Championship. Thank you very much.
People took great pride in something going right. And I could truly say that the first Super Bowl victory helped a broken city heal.
You know, the 49ers had had a sort of a hapless career up until then. And although we'd come close, we never really grabbed the brass ring. Because of Joe, it was just an amazing thing for the city. He's beloved.
It's not just what he did, but where he did it. You've got this fan base that is wanting to believe, and if you told me then, okay, that's all you get, I'm going to die happy. I'm good.
You know, it was all part of the synergy of San Francisco, Joe, our team, and the whole Bay Area in the 80s. It all worked, and it was great. It was a magic time.
There was no better place to grow up as a kid in the 80s than to be a Niner fan. Every kid growing up wanted to be Joe Montana.
Ava's missing. Why wouldn't she tell me she was going? She talks all the time about taking a trip here.
What if Ava's not missing? What if someone else knows what she has?
This is the only one I've ever seen, and I can't let them have it.
I don't know if this is worth your life.
Oh, there's my little nephew. He looks more like Dad every time I see him. Dad is old. Right. So your message said you wanted to talk about insurance? I said I want you to talk about insurance. Well, most people know that bundling home and auto saves you money. Keep saying your words. But did you know that new customers who bundle and save with Progressive can save an average of $800? Sleeping baby. I love you too.
4-year veteran now from Notre Dame, MVP of the Super Bowl, Joe Montana.
Fame. When one arrives at the top, it comes with the view. The Monongahela, Pennsylvania kid was now the man atop the football world.
Obviously, you become more well-known around the country. When you're losing, nobody cares about you, but all of a sudden you start winning.
And the football player of the year is Joe Montana.
So you're getting on the road, you're taking advantage of all this notoriety. going here, the disappearance and that appearance, and then you get called in by Bill Walsh to the office to remind you that you are not paying attention to the things you should be paying attention to. Would you like to go back to the Super Bowl again? Absolutely. I understand you want to take advantage of this. Again, make sure you're doing what's necessary to get yourself ready for the next year.
The 49ers learned in '82 that the view from the top is great, but the fall is a long way down.
Montana throws, sidelines, intercepted.
I think '82 was due to the idea of not really understanding how to be a champion, how hard it is to become a champion again.
You want to play well, and you're not giving any less effort, but then things just don't seem to be clicking.
In the strike-shortened '82 season, the 49ers went 3-6 and failed to make the playoffs. Joe was learning that a career in professional football was not a steady ascent. For the head coach, who had molded Joe into a Super Bowl champion, the pain of disappointment was nearly too much to bear.
I think every time something went wrong on that football field, Bill took it personally. He felt like he should be able to repeat what we did in '81, and it wasn't going to happen that year. Bill didn't come to the closing meeting of the season, and the players didn't understand that.
I think he was the most devastated of all of us. He was so disappointed in where we'd come from to where we were at that point in time. He felt that it wasn't even necessary to address us because we didn't deserve it.
Very uncomfortable sort of situation in general. It was kind of stunning to have him not there, because we all assumed he might have quit, or Eddie might have fired him.
He quit. And what he wanted to do in 1982 was become the general manager of the 49ers and, with Eddie's consent, hire a new coach. But Eddie wouldn't let it happen.
You're dealing with a perfectionist. Was he disenchanted? Maybe. But to throw it all out the window and say, I can't do it after winning a Super Bowl, it doesn't compute.
Walsh reconsidered and returned as head coach in '83. The 49ers rebounded, going 10-6, and returned to the NFC Championship game.
Now here today, Joe Montana and Joe Theismann shoot it out for the right to go to Super Bowl 18. Our setting is the nation's capital.
But once there, Joe's patented precision seemed to abandon him.
On first down, Montana goes from his own goal line. I'm going to go deep for Solomon. And can't get him. Montana has had a frustrating first half.
By the end of 3 quarters, Joe and the 49ers trailed 21-0.
Yeah. I tried to put it up. When I threw it, I had to throw it because Mike made it break, so I had a guy come down.
In the 4th quarter, Joe tapped into that reserve of late-game magic that first brought him to national prominence.
Montana from the 5-yard line throws a pass. Touchdown for the 49ers.
I'll tell you, Joe Montana's found the range now.
Looks down the middle, throws deep, throws it out 40 yards to Solomon. He got it. Touchdown for the 49ers.
That was a heck of a throw by Montana. I'll tell you, the 49ers are fired up now.
Hold this. Yes, I'll marry you.
Go! This is the most unbelievable thing.
Be the whale who charmed West Philly.
Welcome to Bel Air.
Why did you run away from me?
My life is a mess.
You changed your name to McLovin?
Yeah.
You're a machine.
I'm a boy.
Oh, he's got it! What a goal!
You're welcome.
And they are thoroughly shocked, and Montana is tearing them up.
Here's Montana up at the 12-yard line. Looks toward the end zone, lofts one to Wilson. He got it! Touchdown for the 49ers. High ball game.
This is a fantastic thing what they're doing here.
All the 49ers have to do is get one more stop. There's no doubt that Joe Montana is taking them down to win the game if there's any time left.
Come on, team! Clock is running. Second down and 10. Heisman looks right, now looks left, goes deep. Incomplete. Flag is down.
They called it pass interference, and we all say it's not.
San Francisco and Washington tied up at 21. 2 minutes left to play. 3rd and 5 at the 13 for Washington. This Heisman back and quickly. He goes in the corner. Knocked away at the last second.
Hopkins a flag.
Holding number 42 defense.
That's awfully picky to me.
They get it down. It's good. 8 seconds left on the clock. Montana going for the bundle. And it's intercepted by Vernon Dean.
They end up going to the Super Bowl.
To me, the 1983 NFC Championship game is the lost Montana Classic. It won't go down on that list of comebacks because they did not win that game, but I don't want people to forget what he did in the fourth quarter of that game. That was right up there with the most magical of all.
Some comeback by the 49ers. They were down 21-0.
It's funny how fate works. If there had not been 2 questionable calls by the refs, and Joe and the 49ers had won the NFC Championship game instead of the Washington Redskins, then on January 22nd, 1984, Joe would have been in Tampa, Florida on sports' biggest stage. Instead, Joe ended up in L.A. for a commercial shoot and a chance meeting that would change his life.
I don't remember how it was proposed. They just said, hey, I have an opportunity to do this with Schick. Are you interested? And I said, yeah, sure.
His co-star was a young actress named Jennifer Wallace.
His agent and the directors had asked me to loosen him up. He was a little bit tense because he felt he was out of his realm. I don't know how, though. So on the first take, I pinched him on the butt and I said, relax, Joe, the sheriff always gets her man, just in teasing. And it turned out that way.
I'm wanted. What for, Sheriff? I'm just a 49er looking for a little gold.
You'll see. Shave off that beard.
Now, why am I wanted?
To take me to the dance tonight, Joe Montana. Try the Schick disposable.
It beats them both.
It was fun to do and embarrassing in some ways, but it was probably the best thing that's happened to me.
As I was walking to the car to leave, he stuttered, he stammered, and asked...
I said, yeah, if you're not sure what you're doing, you're probably busy.
Well, you probably are. You live here. But I was thinking that if it would be possible... Well, I'm sure you have so many people that you go out with or whatever, but I said, what?
Would you want to go to dinner?
I said, yes, I'd love to. So that was that. That was the beginning.
The words came out not perfect, but they came out eventually.
To me, it was touch and go. He won't say that. He'll say it was go all the way. But I wasn't sure this was the person for me. I could tell how nervous he was. We were on the way up from Southern California and stopped for dinner. And he wrote at the end on the check, what would you say if I was to tell you I'd like to spend the rest of my life with you? And I hadn't even been thinking about marriage.
It was one of those things, again, where I was so nervous I didn't want to ask her. Well, she said, well, you didn't ask me.
After he planted that seed in my mind, it took months before he really did ask.
I thought it'd be a great way to ask Jen to marry me. Went out down by the bridge and in the Marina Green area, and the plane was going to fly over, and I was like, will you marry me? Jen, will you marry me? Joe. As we're sitting down there, I see the plane coming. Oh, no. And the writing was backwards when it came across the first time.
He said, look up, and I see the airplane, and it is backwards, but it says, Jen, will you marry me, Joe? And of course, I was elated, and I was ready at that time, but I still teased him, and I said, see, you still haven't asked me there. So he right away said, will you marry me? And I said, absolutely.
Well, 36 years later, we're still here. So I think we did a good thing.
What drove us to create the most rugged Honda vehicles yet? It's the courage to challenge convention. Rise to the challenge with the Honda Pilot and all-new Passport Trail Sport.
I mean, the idea is that eventually everyone will use a computer as a very important tool.
Silicon Valley in the Bay Area was the center of a technological revolution in 1984. At the same time, at nearby 49ers headquarters, head coach Bill Walsh had developed his own high-tech system.
All right, there's a 376 drag slant, you quick, out of solar right, you right.
And by 1984, he had worked out all of the bugs.
Throwing for Dwight Clark. Touchdown!
We have experienced players that have been working together for a period of time.
What a combination that is, Joe Montana and Dwight Clark.
At this point, they're very confident, and they have a lot of poise that they can execute even on the most severe situations.
We're a precision machine. A machine that just effectively and precisely destroyed the opponent.
That offense was, I think, everything that Bill sort of envisioned for the so-called West Coast offense. We could slice and dice you, throwing the ball. We could throw the ball down the field.
Deep down the field to Clark, and he called it.
And we could also take the ball and shove it straight up your ass. His scheme was damn near perfect. But it wasn't perfect until Joe was running it. Then it was perfect. And it wouldn't have been perfect without him.
That, to me, is when the Joe Montana-Bill Walsh marriage was at its strongest. Montana being the quintessential extension of Walsh on the field. It's almost as though Bill Walsh had implanted his football brain into Joe Montana.
This man will be unblocked, and he'll start in here, then he'll see Joe and start chasing him, and Joe will throw the ball to Roger.
There have been turning points in NFL history. But I thought the combination of Bill Walsh and Joe Montana was the turning point in NFL history. The game changed, and it never changed back. I mean, history was made when Bill Walsh and Joe Montana got together.
You start at him, and then just fade away from him right up the sideline. Joe will take it and just throw it right over his head, right over there.
You see the picture of Bill and I on a knee, and we're playing with the grass. You learn to trust him, but he learns to trust you at the same time.
Certainly my favorite photograph as a coach. Here's the greatest quarterback of all time, working with a coach and drawing plays in the grass, in the sand, so to speak. And if I remember, that play worked. The 84 season, Montana could do just about everything with the ball. He was intuitive, he was instinctive, he could move, avoid, and throw. He could run.
Montana's going to be chased by Marshall, and that's no race. Montana's still going. They thought he was going out of bounds.
Joe's impromptu daring, backed by sneaky foot speed, caught opponents off guard.
It is the subtlety of the movements that make the game look easy, but not everybody has that. Joe Montana, with these slight little easy moves, just always had himself in a position where you were that close, you were that close to getting him, but you never got him.
His mastery of Bill's footwork and techniques were the basis of everything he did. The analogy during that period might have been a guy like Baryshnikov.
Joe's tremendously active and quick on his feet, so he can avoid pass rushers and make split-second decisions. It's almost sensual, his movement.
He's the most graceful, quick-footed, nimble quarterback we've seen in many years.
Comes out of the pocket, gets away from the tackler, he's running it, he's past the 5, he's down to the 1, he's into the end zone.
What drove us to create the most rugged Honda vehicles yet? It's the courage to challenge convention, the will to succeed, and the joy of conquering the toughest trails. Rise to the challenge with the Honda Pilot and all-new Passport Trail Sport.
My son Nathaniel had this little game called the memory game for kids, where you lay out a bunch of cards and 2 of them match up. So we said, hey, let's play with the kid, you know. So we each were turning it over, and all of a sudden Joe says, huh, and he turns every one of them over, like that. And I thought, how the hell did he remember where every one of these cards were? But that is what gave me the first indication that when you gave him something to learn, it was almost immediate. The key thing about Bill Walsh offense was the fact that it was pictures. It was visual. You looked at him drawing things on the blackboard. You looked at him drawing things on the overhead, because he wanted your view to be able to visualize exactly what the play was supposed to look like.
All right, now the first thing we have to do, Joe...
You get pictures with every play. I had a red pen, and the first thing I'd do is I'd go blitz from where I'm not protected, right? Initial blitz, here's the hot guy. And then I'd go, if not, progression 1, 2, 3, escape. By the time we got to a game day, you would have 100+ passes in a game, 30-some runs, and each of those plays had 2 or 3 formations. And because we didn't have earpieces then, right, we only got signaled the play. So you didn't get signaled the formation, so you had to memorize all those formations and what order he wanted them in for each play.
And Joe would instantly have it. He would have not only the formation, but he would have where everyone was on the picture.
As soon as the ball snapped, my mind sees the picture. I would see the play. And so in my mind, I could run through it and I would understand 1, 2, 3, hot 1, 2, 3, here we go.
I've watched every game Joe played in. He had average arm strength at best. You know, so what? The timing, the anticipation, seeing a guy coming into a third window, well before he's in that window. Like when he throws it, you go, when the hell is he throwing it? And here comes a guy. And you go, oh, okay. That's why he's Joe Montana.
People say, what makes Montana Montana? Look, nothing there, come off to someone else. He is the master of that.
He had the ability to make you think he was going somewhere else, just like me on the no-look pass, you know. And he was no-looking, but just in football.
What makes Montana so great is he has fly eyes.
And
you can see everywhere.
I think we just saw it on that last play.
When we came off the field, I go straight to the phones, and I would talk upstairs.
There's Joe Montana over on the sideline.
You know, he's talking with Paul Hackett, who is the quarterback coach for the 49ers.
Yeah, I know, but nobody touched. I mean, Fred should take the M, and I can throw the ball to Dwight.
Most of it was about, how did you see this? Or he'd say, heck, was that right about that coverage?
If Fred picks up the M backer, I have a big hole.
The phone line was intended for perfecting the offense. But Joe found an alternate use.
I don't know what made me do it, but one day I'd hung up and I'm sitting there going, I wonder if these things call out. So I pick up the phone and I hit, what do you do normally? Hit 9, right? Gives you an outside line. I hit 9. got a dial tone. I dial my house.
And the phone would ring. And I'd pick it up, and it'd be Joe. I go, what are you doing?
I go, hey, how you doing? What are you doing? What do you do? Who is it? What are you doing? Where are you calling me from?
He goes, I'm calling you. I'm calling you to say I love you. And I go, oh, I love you. How are you calling? He goes, they have an outside line. I check in every stadium.
I go, I'm on the sideline phone. I found out that it calls. So I thought I'd give you a call since I'm just sitting here waiting to go on the field.
I just called to say I love you.
So I would get calls like every other game, away games, from Joe.
On the same phone that I was on? This is news to me.
I just called to say I love you.
She knew how much pressure there was, throughout that whole year as we kept winning. She really took the pressure off of me. Reminded me a lot of times, calm down, and it's supposed to be fun.
I just called.
Jennifer gave him this whole other outlet that was just tremendous. He became a better quarterback when Jennifer came into the picture. And I think it was just the natural thing of, hey, listen, poise under pressure is one thing, but I need my downtime. I need my family time.
Well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it and places with no carpet on the floor, bare. So, boy, don't you turn back. Don't you fall now. For I's still going, honey. And life, for me, ain't been no crystal stair.
Jennifer, you're in love with a guy and are going to marry a guy who's, to the people who are 49er fans, this guy's perfect. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that.
Well, I can only add to it, and it's true. He is just about perfect inside and out.
In 1984, Joe Montana and his San Francisco 49ers flirted with perfection.
Here's Montana going back to pass. Deep down the field to Clark, and he called it. Clark for a 49er touchdown.
The 49ers finished 15-1, the first NFL team to win 15 games in the regular season. A year after coming up short in the NFC Championship game, there was no stopping the 84 Niners in the playoffs.
Quarterback Joe Montana and the San Francisco 49ers go back to the NFC Championship game.
Montana rolling out the right side. Now fires. It's caught by Solomon. Touchdown for the 49ers.
Nobody throws on the run better than number 16.
If this guy isn't the best quarterback in football, I don't know who is. Well, maybe someone say Marino.
They might.
As efficient as Joe and the 49er offense had been all season, they were only second best in the league. The Miami Dolphins offense was number one. They, too, were led by a Western Pennsylvania quarterback, the 23-year-old phenom, Dan Marino. Marino broke the NFL record in '84 with 48 touchdown passes and was voted league MVP. His spectacular passing led some to see Montana as second best.
The biggest crowd of reporters was around Joe Montana. The question there, is Montana in any way jealous of Dolphin quarterback Dan Marino? The answer was no.
Everybody has their time, and this is his right now. He's had a great year, so he didn't expect anything less from it. And I think it's great what's happening to him.
Going in there was all about Danny. And rightfully so. I mean, he deserved it. He had a tremendous year. And it was all about, can the 49ers stop Marino? Can the 49ers stop Marino? And they kind of left our offense alone. I didn't say much about our offense.
He would not say it, but hell yeah, that bothered him.
And the football world seems to sense that if there ever was a Super Bowl that could live up to its massive buildup, it's today's game between Miami and San Francisco.
I was like, the young whippersnapper against Joe Montana, because we all wanted to see what's going to happen at this Super Bowl.
It's one of the most eagerly anticipated football games in the history of American professional football.
in the pregame warm-up. Joe was passing the ball around, and he makes a throw, and he comes and he says, "Hey, Hack, you know, on the 3-step drop, I really need to work a little harder on that second step." What? He said, "Yeah." He says, I got a little more work to do on there. I can be better at that. Now, we're about to play the Super Bowl, and we're playing Dan Marino and the Dolphins, and I'm just absolutely amazed. Here's a guy who's worrying about his fundamentals on the 3-step drop before he's going to play the most important game of his life, but that's him.
All right, and once again, you see Joe Montana of the 49ers warming up on the field.
You go out to warm up, you go back into the locker room. There's a long time before you come out for the game, before the Super Bowl, a lot longer than normal. So we're all just waiting to go out, and Bill's lying on the floor in the middle of the locker room, his head on somebody's equipment bag, and he's just talking out loud. "Oh my gosh, that Marino. Wow, is he awesome? Nobody can stop Marino. Oh my gosh, what are we in for?" And was it an icebreaker, probably, to kind of crack the stillness that was in there?
Quarterback, Dan Marino.
There's Dan Marino, record-setting numbers throughout this season.
We don't have the star young quarterback, but we got this guy that's won some games. You just knew Joe was going to do something. You knew he was going to be as close to perfect as he could be.
Montana, first down and 10. Montana fires a shot. It's in, it's complete. Right.
You know, they talk about Marino having a great arm, and nobody could have thrown that ball any harder and on target than Montana did that time.
Well, he had plenty of zip.
It was the most zeroed in I think I ever saw him in terms of his focus. He was hot that day.
KK, stop it!
Montana fires it quickly. It's Roger Craig. Touchdown, 49ers. And this is what we anticipated. An offensive show.
The NFL at its core is this confusing, loud, unruly place. And yet, amid all that chaos, when you watch Joe Montana in that offense, it's like you're going to the symphony. You're seeing this incredible, transcendent operation.
Everything he has done has been to perfection.
Things were clicking for us that day, on both sides of the ball. The bad thing for Danny was that nobody was talking about our defense. And our defense, I think, was number one that year.
Marino drops back to throw a pass. He fires to the goal line, and it is intercepted. Picked off by Eric Wright.
Certainly a little more frustration for Mr. Marino than we have seen earlier in the year.
Going back to pass on 3rd and 10, Montana. Looks over the left side. Caught by Craig on the way to the end zone. And Craig goes in for the score.
One of the things they've remarked about Joe Montana is his ability to bring himself up to the occasion of the football game. There's no question he's playing as great as any quarterback has played in any Super Bowl.
Super Bowl 19 is in the record books. The 49ers have won it.
There could have been little doubt that Joe Montana would be the most valuable player.
You are a wimp.
And he has now won 2 MVP awards in Super Bowl competition. What a day. 24 of 35, 331 yards, 3 touchdowns, great running.
Under pressure.
All we heard all week long was Miami's offense. How are you going to stop them? And I think deep inside of us, nothing was said, but inside of each of us, we just knew that we had an offense too, and no one was thinking about having to stop us, so I think we were out to prove something.
One of the prices of fame, Joe, a great deal has been written about your personal life in the last year or two. Are you a happier and more content man at this time than in the recent preceding times?
Well, I definitely am, and Jennifer has a lot to do with that, and she's been behind me the whole way and giving me the support that I've needed, and I couldn't have done it without her.
All right, let's take
Preseason, what I remember is him telling me, let's plan to get married after. I really like you to go through a season first. I think just to see how we handle it together. And so it was the perfect season, basically. Here we are at the very end. I mean, and he goes to the Pro Bowl, he goes to the Super Bowl, he gets the MVP, and I think, yes, I can do this. Yeah, no problem.
I, Joseph. I, Joseph. Take you, Jennifer. Take you, Jennifer. To be my wife.
Joe and Jennifer were married a month after Super Bowl 19. As Joe found a life teammate, he was about to find the teammate of a lifetime.
The San Francisco 49ers, on a choice obtained in a previous trade with New England Patriots, select wide receiver Jerry Rice, Mississippi Valley.
Life couldn't get much better in San Francisco. Joe Montana was the biggest name in football. He had 2 Super Bowl rings, a new wife, and Rice. Joe had created an almost perfect world. But how long could it last?
Testing players for drugs is the latest controversy to hit the National Football League.
You mentioned a quarterback rumor now. Did that involve Dickey or McMahon earlier in the week?
No, Brent, it had nothing to do with them. The story was out of San Francisco. Their quarterback, Montana.
Coming up on Joe Montana, cool under pressure.
Montana is down.
My head hit the turf, and that was it.
Bill was on a mission to put Steve into the starting role.
If you want to talk to someone who wants to play, come talk to me.
I had to replace Joe Montana.
Anybody else pull their starter when they're a little bit behind? It's a bunch of crap.
He said, what do you think we could get if we traded Joe Montana?